Hi there, this is Group 6 doing our presentation for the DOMO Hackathon. We'll start off by talking about the dashboards that we created and what our thought process was and the data that we utilized to pull that in. Start first with the utilization score. As we go into the utilization score, what it's wanting us to do is to rank the managers according to their job cost resources in their departments, and then the percentage of time that was charged to construction jobs and percentage of time that was charged to overhead jobs. So on this one here, we have all of the managers on the side here. In blue is the time allocated to job costed. In green is overhead. And we can sort of see the split between when the managers were charging to overhead or job costed. We filtered out all of the LCC things from the business department per Professor Chong. And then we have all of our departments on the side here. So we're able to dig in to those a little bit more with that filter here. So if we view it instead of on there in the full screen mode right here, here are our filters here. If we wanted to check on the construction services, then we can see that these managers here have allocated most of their resources to job costed, whereas these ones in green need to reallocate the resources a bit better. And in some cases where they don't necessarily have a ton to allocate, they're probably still doing fine based off of the metrics. And then if we pop out of this one, we can see our overhead percent. So this is the percentage of time that was charged to a construction job and percentage time charged to overhead jobs. So this is our percent overhead. We have 16.33% of the jobs, total jobs, are charged to overhead, which would mean that the remainder are charged to job costed. And we devise that by just coming in and creating a couple beast mode calculations of the count of the job costed and overhead total. And then we're just using that and the count of the total job costed. And then going back to the utilization score, we have another beast mode calculation of the total hours for job costed and hours for overhead. And we're using these on our x-axis and series. And moving on to number 2, determine which individuals are on the bench and available for relocation. So per the parameters of the description that we have, employees whose trade indicates they are job costed but who mark their time against overhead projects are considered on the bench. So the first thing we did is we went in and filtered out all of the job costed jobs so that we're only looking at overhead. And then we were also told that the TSH job codes that are equal to length of 4 are considered overhead. So by looking at all the overhead jobs and getting rid of all of the overhead jobs, so not in and getting rid of all those, we can see all the employees who are currently on the bench, i.e. employees who are allocated to overhead but are using the job codes of job costed. We included their employee numbers, the employee trade description, and the department name. And then these are the category codes. And then we also highlighted the total hours that they've allocated, where the dark green would indicate more, the light green would indicate less. And if we look at this inside of our total view, we have our table here. That's fairly easy to read off of and can be filtered. We can sort by job codes and and whatnot. And for the final one, the extra credit, we weren't able to fully flesh out the idea that we had. What we came up with was labor left to spend. By looking at all the labor left to spend, we were kind of in the understanding that the employees that would be on the bench would probably be in these job costeds that are kind of maybe finalizing down. So if we look that in between filter we have here and kind of get down into sort of smaller numbers, you can go even smaller. Go even smaller if we want to, down to 1,000 on the labor left to spend, that these would potentially be jobs where the labor wouldn't necessarily require all of these employees, and they would probably be on the bench and need to be moved to other ones. And in that regard, we could go up to the top range if we can get to that. And allocate them more towards these larger projects that would need those resources and these employees who wouldn't necessarily be as useful on other ones. So this is the project that we have, and I'll post this onto YouTube. Thanks for this opportunity. We really enjoyed it.